Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are now halfway through week one of stage number 2 for Overwatch League. We had some good matches the first couple days. We did have a lot of predictable outcomes, however. So, as you can see right now, New York creamed Philadelphia, Boston reverse swept Atlanta, Gladiators took down Shanghai 3-1, and then Paris smacked Guangzhou 4-0. Then London squeaked out a win 2-1 against Florida. Toronto beat Washington pretty easily 3-1. San Francisco obliterated Valiant 4-0. And then the Gladiators edged Seoul 3-2. Gladiator Seoul was definitely the highlight of the first 2 days. Boston Atlanta was good too, but Atlanta won the first half pretty easily, and then Boston won the second half pretty easily. So, in terms of like well played and close competitive matches, Gladiators Seoul was definitely the highlight. It was a ton of fun to watch. Being a Gladiator fan, it was very troubling, worrisome at times. It was very stressful, but they did end up pulling out the victory. It's the first time Fissure has lost to one of his former teams. He's now 5-1 against his former teams in matches against them. Um, so it was a huge win for Gladiators. Them along with they were the only team that played the first day and the second day. So they will be out of action for the rest of the week. And it's a great start for them, 2-0, especially after they started 1-4 in stage one. They now won 4 matches in a row and look a lot better. And even though Seoul lost, they are still looking like a very good team that will definitely be stay in playoff contention. But anyway, going into predictions for today and tomorrow. I think we have a couple of matches that are going to be a bit closer. In terms of the meta, we've still seen goats, but we've seen a lot more Winston goats than Reinhardt. And we've also seen the emergence of some bunker comps with Batiste, with Junkrat and Bastion. And those strategies have, for some teams, have worked very well. So we'll see which teams opt to go into that more, and then which teams kind of just try to stick to the GOAT's setup. So, first match of today, Florida already playing their second game, and Philadelphia already playing their second game. So both these teams lost earlier. Florida's 1-7, Philly is 5-3. Florida's only win of the season was against Philadelphia. So, will Florida beat them once again? I'm going to say no. I was really close to picking this as an upset, but because Florida already beat Philadelphia, that's why I'm taking Philly here. I don't think that they will be kind of caught off guard once again. News for Florida, they did announce that like McGravy and Apply and Tvik are being dropped. Apparently they said it was like a decision that like they had the option of like sticking around or playing or whatever, but they decided that the best course of action for the team was to go full Korean. So those three Western players are all out, and so they've been last match they fielded their all Korean roster, and they put up a good fight against the Spitfire, but it is the Spitfire, so it's hard to gauge. Philadelphia got smacked around essentially by New York. It was 4-0 and was not very close by each map. So they're going to be looking to bounce back. They're playing on Oasis, Temple of Anubis, Kings Row, and then Junkertown. So it's a pretty decent map pool for Florida, at least with Junkertown, because you get your more wacky comps, and I think Florida is a much bigger fan of that, especially now that Saya player is playing. But Oasis, we see a lot of Winston goats on it. Excuse me. We've seen a lot of Winston goats on Oasis. I did that because no, it was totally an accident. But Winston goats is resident sleeper. So I think Philadelphia will have a big advantage on map one. On Temple of Anubis, similar thing. Florida struggled on 2 CPs at points. They did win Hanamura last time out, but I don't think they'll have as much success on Temple. And then you got Kings Row, which I think Philly will take the first three, and then Florida will take the last one, and it'll be a 3-1. But Florida did look pretty decent against Spitfire. I will definitely be curious to see if they have another pretty good performance against Philadelphia. Because I think Philly is going to actually play well this match. Because they don't want to lose to Florida twice, and they're coming off a big loss. So I think Philly will win that one pretty easily. So then we got Toronto Defiant against Boston Uprising. So Boston has reverse swept their last two regular season matches. They're playing on Busan, Hanamura, Eichenwald, and Rialto. So I think these are two good teams. I'm going to go with Boston here. For similar reasons that I went with them before. Stellar, Toronto's Brigida player for all of Stage 1, retired due to personal reasons. So with him gone, they had Asher in for a little bit. They also had their new addition, I'm 37, playing. And these are two good players, but they haven't had nearly as much time with the team to synergize, and I think this will affect them negatively. Boston looked really bad in their first half against Atlanta, but then they looked really solid the second one. So I think that Boston is still a team that's going to be strong. The more they play with RCK, the better it's going to get. And like I said, I like them in this matchup. I think Toronto will take map 1, and then Boston will sweep the other 3. I like Boston's strategies quite a bit for 2CP maps as well as escort maps. I think that's going to give them an edge. And honestly, I think even though Toronto has a better record, I think Boston's a little bit of a better team still than Toronto is. But yeah, that should be a great match. But I'm going to say Boston 3-1, with most of, if not all of the maps being close. Then we got New York and Shanghai. New York won their last matchup easily. They're now 8-0. Shanghai lost to Gladiators. That dropped them to 3-5. They're playing on Oasis, Hanamura, Eichenwald, and Watchpoint Gibraltar. So, obviously New York is going to be heavily favored in this matchup. I think Shanghai is going to give them a good fight, but I think New York is going to win this one. I think it's especially unlucky for Shanghai that they have Oasis as the control map. Oasis seems like, of all the control maps, the one that Goats is the most popular on. People will still run Goats on it. So, and I think New York definitely has an advantage over Shanghai in terms of Goats. So I think New York will take map 1 pretty easily. Map 2, I think that's Shanghai's best chance. A lot of times we've seen teams that are, we'll say lesser skilled than their opponents, either control points or 2CP generally appear to be where they can have the most success. When it comes to escort, it usually gets a little bit more rough. But I think Shanghai will keep that map close. I could see them maybe pulling out a tie if they get 2 nice attacks. But I think New York will win. I think Shanghai will have their moments on each map, and they'll put up a decent fight. But in the end, it kind of like a less extreme version of the San Francisco match against New York, where every map was super close, but New York pulled it out barely in the end, and they swept them 4-0. I think this will be similar to that, but not quite as close. Shanghai, they do look improved though. Their DPS players are really good, so if they get a chance to bust them out, I think we could probably see that for a defense on Hanamura, and then potentially an attack on Eichenwald. Gee, I don't know why I'm yawning so much. I wasn't yawning all morning, and now it's afternoon, and it's hitting me. I slept a lot too. Weird. So, like I said, Shanghai they'll have their moments, but unfortunately, I think they're going to be falling to 3-6. Now, Chengdu versus Paris Eternal. So, what's going to happen in this one? This is a tough one to gauge. Paris looked good in their first matchup. They beat Guangzhou really, really easily, 4-0, to improve to 4-4. Chengdu is 3-4. Looking at the maps, they got Oasis, they got Hanamura. You see these a lot these days. Blizzard World, and then Rialto. So I like I like Paris in this matchup. Um, I think they take maps 1, 3, and 4, with Chengdu taking map number 2. And Chengdu has looked pretty solid, but they've also been a bit inconsistent. We've seen that the Winston Goats is still pretty good, and Paris I think has found a good blend with using Shadowburn and Soon at the same time. They also have LH Cloudy, who made his debut on the main tank, and he had a very nice first matchup. So I think Paris is a team of like swings and momentum, and I think they have good momentum right now, and that's going to carry over. And they're just going to be able to. I think they'll be able to use Winston Goats because Winston Goats is more effective against like the wacky comps that Chengdu can run than Rhine is. So I think that Paris has a major opportunity to take this match 3-1. Then we got San Francisco taking on Guangzhou. So San Francisco, like I said, they mangled the Valiant in their matchup. It was absolutely brutal. And that put them to 5-3. Guangzhou has lost; they're down to 3-5. And I think Guangzhou's in some trouble here. Same thing as Shanghai, because they can both very easily find themselves down to 3-6 and 0-2 on the stage, which is exactly what you don't want to do when you're at like the 3-4 point when you're just hanging around 500. So they're playing on Busan, Temple of Anubis, Eichenwald, and then Junkertown. And just looking at how Guangzhou played last time, this projects as a 4-0. I'm going to call it a 4-0. Guangzhou has the players. I like this team, but San Francisco has supreme confidence right now, and it looks like Guangzhou doesn't have confidence, and I think that that's going to translate into a very ugly result for the Charge here. Not too much else to say about that one. Hopefully I'm wrong. Guangzhou has played very well. Hopefully they bounced in the past. Hopefully they bounce back from their matchup 2 days ago. So then after that we got Atlanta Reign taking on the London Spitfire. So Atlanta, they got reversed swept by Boston. And then London, of course, they went down. Or sorry, they won their last matchup against Florida, but it was a little ugly. So the maps they're going to be on are Oasis, Temple of Anubis, Blizzard World, and then Watchpoint Gibraltar. Like I said, a lot of Oasis these couple days. So this is a tough one for me because London, they look good, then they look bad. Atlanta looked pretty solid, putting in Baby Bay. But then, like I said, they got reverse swept and they didn't look very good in the second half of that matchup. So it's kind of a swing one for me. These two teams are pretty even. I'm gonna go with London in a very close one. Just in terms of, I think it's going to be really close, and I think that in like those kind of clutch situations, I trust London a bit more than I trust Atlanta. So I could see it being another 2-1. I could definitely see a draw coming out on Temple, but I think that London will do well at least in the latter half of the matchup with maps 3 and 4. I do think if Atlanta manages to take Temple, then they're in really good shape to take it because I like them a bit more than London on control. But yeah, like I said, I trust London a little bit more to kind of clutch it up, and I think Atlanta is still dealing with like the fallout of DeFran leaving a little bit, and their Zarya play isn't quite on lock yet, even though we've seen some good stuff from Baby Bay. So yeah, I'm gonna take London in a close matchup. Then it's Vancouver Titans, Hangzhou Spark. Oasis, Hanamura, Kings Row, Watchpoint. So I like Vancouver in this one. A lot of people have been saying Hangzhou is going to start really showing people why they're regarded so highly. even after a 3 and 4 stage. So I think Hangzhou's going to keep this one close. I think they're going to throw a couple of those wackier, a little more wacky comps of Vancouver. Um, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if Vancouver tries to run Winston Goats a bit more. Now that we've seen a lot of teams opt for that. I think Hangzhou's is a total guess on my part, but I feel like Hangzhou's going to come out and play like a good bunker comp. I think they're going to do well with that. Um, so we'll see. Like I said, I think Hangzhou keeps it close. They take a map here, but Vancouver does end up winning out in the end, 3-1. And then the final matchup of the week. We got Chengdu back in action, taking on Washington, who lost their first match against Toronto of the stage. So, you got Oasis again, we got Temple again, and Kings Row and Watchpoint Gibraltar. So, when I look at this one, I like the first half of it for Washington, but I like the second half for Chengdu. And I think overall Chengdu is a better team right now. I think they're playing a bit better. So it's a close one. I think this one probably goes to 5. I could see Chengdu taking 1, Washington taking 2, Chengdu taking 3, and Washington taking 4, or something, some order like that. But then in the end, I trust Chengdu a little bit more. We've seen guys like Jinmu bust out some crazy plays. We've seen the flex power of Ameng. And while Washington does look pretty decent, they were able to take that last map against Toronto. In the end, I like Chengdu in here. Like I said, because of they have a more diverse number of strategies, and Washington's goats it's okay, but I don't think it's like really strong enough to just kind of punish the hunters like other teams have done in the past. So in a wacky close series, I'm taking Chengdu in that one. I'll say screw it. I'll say it goes to 5, 3-2 for the hunters. So those are the rest of the matchups for week number 1 of stage 2. This is a little bit of a weird week because there's a lot of teams that are playing twice and then a couple that aren't playing at all. Like Dallas and Houston have the week off entirely. Also coming up this stage in week 4, you got the ultimate weekend in Dallas where there's a couple days of games. So that should be a lot of fun. Let me know what you guys think of the predictions. Let me know if you have any crazy upsets that you're thinking about for these next 2 days. Good luck to your teams if they are playing. Hope you have a great couple days, and I'll see you in the next one.